Noah, seed of Methuselah, already 600 years old, more than a little weary from all that virtuous living. Then a finger out of the clouds pokes down at him, and a voice full of blood and bones bullies the stony hillsides.
Make thee an ark of gopher wood.
Details follow in that same bossy baritone.
The boat shall be 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, 3 decks, 1 window, 1 door.
And then the voice tells him why. His sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, just cannot handle this news. Japheth whispers,
He's going to drown them all? Every last woman and child? What for?
Noah's mind is not what it used to be. Lately it strays like a lost lamb, his ancient voice a bleat.
Wickedness. I think that's what he said. Yes, wickedness.
Too vague for Japheth.
But wicked how? I mean, what are the charges?
The old brow wrinkles again.
Evil, that's what he said. Corruption, violence. Violence? What do you call this killer flood? He's going to murder the lot of them just for making a few mistakes? For being human?
Now Japheth is really riled. Being the youngest, he still has a lot of drinking pals around. Enos and Jared and sexy Ada and his pretty young neighbor, Zillah. Together they'd put away many a goatskin of red wine under the big desert stars. Besides, being a kid, a mere 90 years old, he still likes to stump his father with embarrassing questions.
Listen, Dad, I thought you said he was omniscient. Well then, wouldn't he have foreseen all this? And if he did, why did he make us the way we are in the first place?
Shem, the firstborn, and something of a prig, speaks up.
Ours not the reason why, ours but to build the ark.
Japheth scowls.
That's another thing. Just what is an ark? I mean, we're desert people, after all, nomads. Living out here in this miserable dry scrub with our smelly goats and camels, I never saw a boat in my life.
Noah quavers.
I saw one once, but I don't remember it very well. That was 400 years ago. Or was it 5? Let's see.
Ham, always the practical one, says,
It can't be that hard. An ordinary boat will mock one up. You need a keel, that's it. You begin with a keel of gopher wood, and the rest is easy. Ribs and planks, pitch, decking. Don't worry, Dad, I'll handle it.
So finally they have themselves an ark, and God says,
Good work, Noah. Now get the animals. Clean beasts 7 of a kind. Unclean just 2, but make sure they're male and female, you got that straight. And hurry it up so I can get the drowning started.
Think of it. They're living out there in that gritty wilderness, and all of a sudden they're supposed to come up with 2 elephants. Or is it more? Japheth calls.
Shem, is the elephant a clean or an unclean animal? If it's clean, that means 7 of them, and the ark is in trouble. And how about rhinos and hippos? What do we do about the dinosaurs? How do we get a brontosaurus up the gangplank?
Japheth loves raising problems that Noah hasn't thought of at all.
Oh, by the way, Dad, how are we going to keep the lions away from the lambs?
It's not just a headache, it's a nightmare. Just think of poor Ham, after all of his angst and sweat, getting the ark assembled, and then having to trudge off to the Congo and the Amazon to round up all those tricky long-tailed leapers there in the jungle greenery. Gibbons, orangutans, gorillas, baboons, chimps, howler monkeys, capuchins, mandrills, tamarins. And Shem, dutiful Shem, in charge of the other mammals, the giraffes, the horses, zebras, quaggas, tapirs, bison, the pumas, bears, shrews, raccoons, weasels, thousands of species of mammals. And Japheth out there on the cliffs and treetops, trying to snare the birds, the eagles, condors, hawks, buzzards, vultures, thousands upon thousands of hyperkinetic birds. Well, it's pretty clear, isn't it, that there's a space problem here? A boat only 450 feet long, already buzzing and bleating and squeaking and mooing and grunting and mewing and hissing and cooing and croaking and roaring and peeping and howling and chirping and snarling and clucking and growling, and the crocodiles aren't back from the Nile yet, or the iguanas from the islands, or the kangaroos or koalas, or the 30 different species of rattlesnakes, or the tortoises, salamanders, centipedes, toads. It takes some doing all that, but Ham comes back with them. And wouldn't you know, it's Japheth who opens up, so to speak, the can of worms.
Dad, there are thousands of species of worms. Who's going digging for them? And oh yes, how about the insects?
Shem rebels at last.
Insects? Dad, do we have to save insects?
Noah, faithful servant, quotes the word.
Every living thing.
Japheth ticks away at his roster.
So far, we've got dragonflies, damselflies, locusts and aphids, grasshoppers, mantises, crickets, and termites. Wait a minute. Termites? We're going to save termites in a wooden boat?
But Japheth knows that arguing with Noah is like driving a nail into chicken soup. He shrugs and carries on.
Dad, we haven't even scratched the surface. There must be 1 million species of insects out there. Even if we unload all the other animals, the insects alone will sink the ark.
But the ark was not floating on fact. It was floating on faith. That is to say, on fiction. And in fiction, the insects went aboard. And a year's supply of hay for the elephants, a year's bananas for the monkeys, and so on. Japheth says,
Well, that's that. But you still haven't answered my question. What will the meat-eaters eat?
Noah replies in history's least appropriate trope.
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. All aboard now. It's starting to sprinkle.
12 hard months that strange menagerie lived in the ark. The 16,000 hungry birds lusting for the 2 million insects, and the 12,000 snakes and lizards nipping at the 7,000 mammals, and everyone slipping and sliding around on the 64,000 worms and the 100,000 spiders, and Noah driving everyone buggy, repeating every morning as if he just thought of it.
Well, we're all in the same boat.
It was a long, long year for those weary men and their bedraggled wives, feeding the gerbils and hamsters, cleaning the thousands of cages, keeping the jaguars away from the gazelles, the grizzlies away from the cottontails. Everything aboard, after all, was an endangered species. But finally the waters subsided. The dove fluttered off and never returned. The gangplank slid down to Ararat, and the animals scampered out to the muddy, corpse-ridden earth.
And Noah, burning a lamb on his altar under that mocking rainbow, cannot forget that he rescued the snakes and spiders, but he let Enoch and Jubal and Canaan and Lamech and their wives and innocent children go to a soggy grave. And Noah knows in his tired bones that now he will have to be fruitful once more and multiply and replenish the earth with a pure new race of people who would never, never sin again. For if they did, all that killing would be for nothing, a terrible embarrassment to God.